Today I'm flying a brand new business class on board FlyDubai, an airline that you may not be familiar with, but what may be the best kept secret in luxury travel. Based out of the UAE and positioned as a budget airline, FlyDubai serves 95 destinations, and unlike its best friend Emirates, it flies exclusively narrow-body jets. Whilst they introduced business class back in 2013, more recently they took delivery of the Boeing 737 MAX, and with it, a whole new business class experience. This features Italian leather throne seats, increased privacy, but most importantly, flat beds. Unfortunately, FlyDubai doesn't currently fly to my home of the UK, so for this trip I've jumped on board an intra-Europe BA flight over to Bucharest, Romania. What makes today's trip all the more interesting is I'm doing what's called a self-transfer, basically a tight connection booked off two separate tickets. If I'm late for my connecting flight, I can say goodbye to those Italian leather seats and instead an impromptu holiday in Romania. Let's pick up with my arrival at Bucharest's Henry Coanda International Airport. Right then guys, I have made it to Romania. Obviously I'm only going to be transiting here today. Let's go straight over to the check-in at departures and go and find out what FlyDubai is really like. With no time to spare and being among the last to check in, I hand over all the required documents, which thankfully result in the issue of my boarding pass. Right guys, we're all checked in, all is okay. I was a little bit concerned about doing a self-transfer, but thankfully it's all paid off. I've got a good sort of hour now. Sometimes you worry at these outstations, especially with COVID, that there's not going to be any lounges available, but thankfully it looks like there is. So anyway, I'm going to switch the camera off now because I've got to go through airport security just over here, and I'm sure they won't be very friendly if I bring the camera out. So I'll catch you guys the other side. Hopefully it doesn't take too long.
A few minutes later.
All through passport control and security. That took hardly any time at all, thankfully. It seems pretty quiet here today. I would not want to risk this transfer if it was a busy day. Thankfully it seems to have paid off, but self-transfers are not really a good thing when you've only got 2 hours. Now I'm through airside, it's noticeably pretty busy in the terminal, but I'm heading straight for what I hope to be the sanctuary of the lounge. So, welcome to the Tarom Business Class Lounge, which is the flag carrier of Romania. This is the lounge given access at the moment. We usually get a third-party lounge. Is currently closed. They've got some quite heavy restrictions here in Romania at the moment. The flight hasn't quite arrived just yet. So with what I thought would be a huge rush today has turned out to be, thankfully, quite a comfortable transit. As I make myself a coffee with this filthy coffee machine, I have quite the shocking transit story from last week in Portugal, which will give even the most seasoned travellers anxiety. Full video coming soon, but in essence this was booked as one ticket on TAP Portugal with a 2-hour layover. Thanks to the awful organisation by the airline and the airport, it resulted in me making my flight by just 3 minutes. Crazy stuff. Thankfully today is much more chilled, not that there's much food available in the lounge, but I'm able to relax, ready for my flight's arrival. Right, well there we go, the Tarom Lounge. That was fine, it did the job. I obviously had my caffeine fix, just to wake me up. Crikey, I'd do a bit of oil, couldn't it? Anyway, now thankfully the gate is literally just down here. I did check on Flight Radar, I could see that the plane was just coming into land. So hopefully let's go catch it just coming to the gate. As I've already alluded to, guys, this is actually the very first time that I've been able to try out this airline, and I'm really excited about it. It's something I know very little about, so let's educate ourselves together. You can see, obviously, literally just got here, and people are getting off the arriving flight. Turnaround times seem pretty rapid here, with the cleaning team ready to get on board as soon as the last passenger alights. We only have around 30 minutes to wait before boarding begins to commence. All sorted, going down the jet bridge, first on board. I thought I might be the only one in business class today, but I think there's maybe a couple of others. Let's go and see what this is like. And time to get down the rest of the jet bridge and on board this 737 MAX 8. I'm welcomed warmly on board by the waiting cabin crew and shown to my seat to Echo today. Once we take off, I'll show you the rather unique seating arrangement on this aircraft, quite unlike what you'd see usually on a narrow-body jet. After stowing my bags, let's settle down into my seat. Lovingly nicknamed the throne seat, It's the one to choose on board this flight, with just one other available. They offer the most privacy, and it's my pick if travelling solo. Boarding is efficient today, and it's not long before boarding is complete. I note a few passengers inquire about a last minute upgrade, and it's worth saying that this is possible to do. Today's rates were $500 to upgrade from economy. Not bad if you ask me, given the economy price was around $150. After working out the 3-point seatbelt, I'm fastened up and ready to go. We begin to push back, and with that, the safety video is screened. It looks great on the 15-inch HD monitor right in front of me. Thankfully, traffic is light today, and we taxi relatively quickly over to the runway. Here we go then, take off on board my first 737 MAX 8. Flight time will be around 5 hours, across roughly 3,500 kilometers. It's not long before we level out and service commences. I'm provided with a refreshing warm towel. It's great to see more airlines offering this back after being absent over the last 18 months. Let's take a look around the cabin. So as I said, I'm in row 2, but as you can see there are 3 rows in a 2-2, 1-1 and 2-2 config. Couples will probably go for double seats, but I'd actually suggest 2 throne seats, which allows ample room for both of you and still within earshot. Right, I make it lunchtime. Given I've not had anything to eat in the lounge, I'm starved. The drinks menu is solid, and yes, there is champagne served today. In terms of food, there are 3 main options. What would you go for? With my orders placed, I'm promptly served a Diet Pepsi. I've got a Zuma brunch tomorrow in Dubai with my friends, so I'm saving my drinking for then. I'm also served a packet of nuts, which I feel would have been better presented in a bowl. Just before dinner comes, it's worth noting that there is no amenity kit, however there are noise cancelling headphones provided. These worked very well along with a pretty decent movie selection. Right, let's get the tray table folded out and crack on with the food. Everything is served at once, which appears to be happening more and more due to the pandemic. Along with being well presented, I'm relieved to see metal cutlery is present. Let's get cracking on the lentil salad then. It tastes fresh, zesty, and went well with the fresh bread served separately. Next up, I went for the nut roast. It may surprise you lot, but given my steak addiction, but I actually grew up a vegetarian. This was great and not dry like nut roasts have a tendency to be. Top work, FlyDubai. With my main out of the way, I've saved just enough room for the lemon cake. Only complaint is the portion size was a little small, but that's more down to my overly sweet tooth. Overall then, I'm impressed. A solid dining experience, especially given the length of this flight. Now, before we make the bed, let's check out the loo. Of course, it's loo review time. The business class bathroom is located at the front of the J cabin. It's pretty small, but let's remember, it's a narrow-bodied jet. It's clean but overall quite basic with no additional premium soaps or lotions offered. Now back to my seat, let's kick those Tims off. To those that care, these are some new wheels I picked up last weekend in Carnaby Street. Hope you like them. The bed retracts out at the touch of a button, folding fully flat. I love the high quality throw, which reminds me of Qatar Airways. It's a lot better than you get on Emirates, just an FYI. I did pinch a spare pillow off the vacant seat next to me, as I like to sleep with 2. However, I'm told I could have just requested one. Overall, the bed was comfy, and my only gripe was my feet being contained in the cubby, but that's a sacrifice I'm happy to make to get a flatbed on a narrow-bodied jet. I slept for the remaining couple of hours, given my crazy early start back in London. I awake just before final descent, and after folding the bed back, it's not long before we touch down into Dubai International Airport. Most FlyDubai flights appear to arrive at a remote stand, but business class is met with a designated premium bus. We're taken directly to the arrivals, and this is actually a preference to me, in contrast to the lengthy walk and train when you arrive at some of the Emirates gates. So a very good welcome to Dubai United Arab Emirates. That was a really interesting experience. I have to say, my first time on FlyDubai. I don't think it'll be the last one. It was a real pleasant surprise, brilliant service, and I just thoroughly really enjoyed the product. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you all again next week.